Here is the compounded medication. Alright, so here we are. You guys got to see me this morning take my first GLP injection, and I know you're probably saying, or maybe you're not, like, how did you get here? Why are you taking this medication? Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I filmed a video this morning while I was getting ready, and I just feel like I was all over the place. I had somewhere to go this morning, so I wasn't like all the way focused. So I'm like, I have a few minutes before I have to go pick the baby up before my son gets home from school. So let's just unpack it all. If you are new here, my name is Latricia Nicole. If you are not new here, welcome back. This is completely out of the norm from the content that I had been creating. However, this is my new reality, and this is a lifestyle channel, and so this is a part of my lifestyle, and we are just going to be transparent, and hopefully I can learn, especially with whatever is going on with TikTok. I can kind of find a community of people who are using GLP-1 medications, just to kind of learn, because you can go to the doctor. What's my eye? You can go to the doctor, and then if you like me, baby, I have all of the questions. Hold on. Okay. I have all of the questions in the doctor's office, and then as soon as I leave the doctor's office, I got a gazillion more questions. And if TikTok is going away, who gonna answer my questions, girl? Who gonna answer? So, how did I get here? I have been very transparent. I spoke about this in a couple of my videos before about the increased weight gain that I have recently discovered. I know this sounds crazy, like, girl, how did you not notice that you had gained 26 pounds in a 5-month period? Let me set the scene for you. Let me break that down for you. I work from home. Most of the time, I am either in tights, leggings, sweatpants. So it is very, very, very rare that I'm putting on like jeans. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of my jeans since I've had the baby have like a little stretch in them. So it's not too far-fetched that I was able to gain that much weight without necessarily noticing. Now, I will say this. I did get to the point where I was feeling, before I realized that I had gained so much weight, I was getting to the point where I was just feeling like winded all the time, like if I'm running with the baby, if I have to go up the stairs or something. So in those instances, I did notice, but honestly, it was just like, okay, girl, you about to be 40, like, you know, you done had 4 kids, you getting a little fluffy, like, okay. So I did talk in my last vlog a little bit, but I will discuss this just a little bit. What ended up happening, I went to my regular yearly exam back in June of last year, and then my job does like this little wellness thing where you kind of get, like, if you do these wellness activities, I guess, you get a discount on your insurance premium. So I went to do the wellness thing with my job in November. So you go, it's like a biometric screening, so of course a part of that is you're gonna get weighed. Baby, I stepped on that scale and I was like, okay, because you know, okay, so this is the thing, you know, when you go to the doctor, the scale at the doctor's office is not gonna match the scale at your house, right? So I'm thinking somebody's scale somewhere is broken, okay? But lo and behold, I came home, I'm like in a panic, and I immediately called and made me a doctor's appointment. Went in to see the primary care doctor. He pulls up my chart. Sure enough, he was like, yeah, when you were here back in June, you were like 170 something, and today you are like close. I want to say I was like 171, and then in June, and then when I went back in November, when I noticed the weight gain, according to their scale, I was 197. So he immediately was like, okay, is anything changing? Now I will say this, that prior to me going in June, I had just stopped taking I used to take medication for depression and anxiety, and I was able to get off of that medication. But like I said, that was prior to my appointment in June. So he was like, okay, well, since June, you know, do you have anything going on, any stress, you know, did anything happen, have you changed your diet? Nothing that I'm like, seriously, like nothing. So he was like, okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna do some blood work and we're gonna go from there. So before I left out of the office, he starts asking me these questions about like my sleeping. And I'm like, okay, well, what that got to do with, you know, my weight? So he's asking me these questions. He said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order. Now, let's back up. I'm fairly new to this primary care provider. So he asked, he said, have you ever been tested for sleep apnea? And I was like, nah. So he says, I'm going to order a sleep study. And so we're going to he said, because something is telling me, because remember when I went back in June, I actually had my blood work done. So he's looking at that blood work. He was like, if I don't see a change in like what we had from June, he said, but something, you know, I'm kind of almost leaning towards sleep apnea based on some of the answers you're giving me to some of the questions I'm asking. And he said, I'm telling you, if it's sleep apnea, he said that can cause weight gain, but it can also be caused by being overweight, if that makes sense. I mean, that's not the only cause of it. And don't nobody jump down my throat. Look, I'm just telling y'all my experience, okay? And so, sure enough, I ended up, once the results came back from the sleep study, I have sleep apnea. Okay, so before I go into this next part, let me preface this by saying these are my experiences. I am not giving medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am not a clinician. I implore you to see your own primary care provider and come up with your own results. But in the name of transparency, here we go. So, okay, now remember, I'm over here like, oh my God, like look how much weight I done gained. And now y'all done told me I have sleep apnea. In the middle of all of that, I see, oh, there's this GLP-1 medication that has recently been approved to treat sleep apnea. So that's like, okay, in my mind, like now my antennas are going up. Okay. So along with that, I'll say this. In addition to me having sleep apnea, I have had hypertension, high blood pressure since I was 19. I have been getting treated with medication since I was 19. Now I will say this, 19-year-old me and 39-year-old me are two totally different people. So I will be honest that in the course of, you know, from 19 to 39, in those 20 years, I have not always been compliant with my medication. So let's just say that. I mean, in these parts of my life, I'm compliant with my medication. But hypertension was something that plagued me during my pregnancy with all of my my last 3 pregnancies, because I had my oldest son when I was 17. So my last 3 pregnancies, but my last pregnancy, it caused me to have to deliver the baby early. 1 second. Then I have sleep apnea. I already had high blood pressure. My blood pressure now is controlled by medication. It has been for years. With the exception of my pregnancy, because it was hard to control it even with medication, but that's neither here nor there. So and then I have PCOS. According to my blood work, I have insulin resistance again, which I have been diagnosed with before, but with medication and diet back then, it was reversed basically. I don't know that there's a cure for it. I don't know what's the correct terminology. So over the last 2 months, that is what I have found out. I already knew, like I said, about the blood pressure, but you know, I already knew about the PCOS, but the insulin resistance, the elevated blood pressure, the insulin resistance and the sleep apnea, not the elevated blood pressure, you know, were new things now that we are dealing with. So my primary care provider, based on the results from my sleep study, referred me to a pulmonologist. I saw the pulmonologist. I am, as of right now, currently like literally waiting on my CPAP because I'm going to start CPAP therapy. So I'm supposed to do that at least 4 hours a night. Because let me tell you something. Somebody's telling you, I don't care whether it's mild, moderate, or severe. To me, this is my opinion, my feelings. Somebody's telling me that I stopped breathing while I was asleep. I don't care how many times, the duration, or whatever. That scared me more than anything I've ever medically had to deal with in my life. So that was enough to make me, okay girl, you listen, even if you don't want to, you about to make some changes. So I went to the pulmonologist. The pulmonologist actually ended up referring me to a bariatric provider, which deal with weight loss, but a lot of times you'll hear people go to like bariatrics for like weight loss surgery. But my primary care provider, I told him, even when we were waiting on the results from the sleep study, like, okay, if nothing is wrong with me that's actually causing this increase in weight, you know, I need to figure out what I need to do about losing weight. So he referred me to a lifestyle and wellness provider within his network of doctors. So I saw the lifestyle and wellness doctor. She did an assessment based on my medical records, and she gave me, when I say one of the best appointments I've ever had, because the appointment lasted for well over an hour, like not in the waiting room, like actually one-on-one with the doctor. And that's very rare. I don't care what specialty it is. Like most of the time doctors are coming in, figuring out what's going on, and they getting out. Like it was very, very, very thorough. One of the things they do when they weigh you is not just you step on a regular scale. She used like this in-body scale that not only weighs your total body weight, it weighs your water weight, your muscle mass, like all of the things. And so she just explained to me, don't focus on your BMI, because based on my BMI says I'm obese. She was like, we're not going to focus on your BMI. These are the things that we need to focus on. So she ended up doing that. She explained everything thoroughly. This is why this is happening. This is the reason that this is happening. If all of this is not treated, this is what could happen. All of that. She laid everything out for me. Do you have any questions? She answered my questions thoroughly. And then at the end of the appointment, we went over, she gave me my treatment options. She, you know, of course there's the option of, girl, you ain't got to do nothing. Like, it's your will. If you don't want to treat it and you fine living like that, then go right on ahead. But like I said, she had already explained, if this is not treated, these are the possible effects of not treating these issues that you have. So she gave me options as far as treating things medically. Now I will say this, the GLP-1 medication was not the only option that she gave. I cannot speak for every doctor, because I have heard people say that now that is just what doctors are pushing. That was not my experience. In fact, there was an option that she gave me, but she wanted to start with something else. Now the something else she wanted to start with, I had already used years ago, and while I was successful on it, I had a very bad experience with it. So, and then you have to remember, now I'm almost 40, so you know, life changes, and you know, life changes. And I will be honest, so you know, if you have my chart, you get the results before your doctor get the results. So my mind started working even with just the weight gain alone. Like, okay girl, what are you gonna do? Immediately I rejoined the gym. My kids had been on me even before that, like, we need to get back to the gym, we need to get back to the gym. I immediately rejoined the gym. I knew that I needed to make dietary changes. There was like a no-brainer. I just didn't really know like where to start, if I'm being honest. So she kind of laid out like, okay, the GLP-1 was an option, but it wasn't like the only, and it wasn't really what she was leaning towards. And so I asked her, I said, okay, like, how I know just from being on the internet, people promote or say that GLP-1, you just typically associate it with weight loss. And so she explained to me why it causes you to lose weight, how it causes you to lose weight. But more importantly, one of the decided factors for me was, how is this going to address these underlying medical conditions that I have? And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you like, yeah, I do want to lose weight. Like, I'm not even going to lie. But the other stuff scares me as well. Like, I have 4 children. So if I can do both with one thing, then let's try that. We do have a course of action where there is a possibility that we're going to add on to the GLP-1, but we haven't gotten to that point, so I can't really speak on it because, you know. But the other issue was, even though Zepbound was recently approved to treat, not insomnia, to treat sleep apnea, it's not on the formulary for a lot of insurance companies, and there's still a lot that you have to go through to get the prior authorization for it. And my doctor explained that to me. She gave me her experience with it recently. So she was like, honestly, there is a high probability that right now the insurance is not going to cover it. Here's the out-of-pocket cost for it. Now, let me say this. I kind of had already made up my mind that unless my doctor told me no, like with your high blood pressure or with the medicine you take and you can't take those, I had kind of already made up my mind, like if the doctor don't introduce it as an option to me. I had found like these online compound pharmacies that offered the semaglutide and tirzepatide, you know, through a compounding pharmacy. And as you know, they have a lot of online compounding pharmacies. So she's giving me the out-of-pocket cost for the like Mounjaro and the Ozempic, and I'm looking like, okay. And so I just asked her, she hadn't brought it up, and I said, well, what about like the compounded version? And she was like, yeah, okay. And so we discussed, and what she advised me was that she has a compound, it's not her pharmacy, let me not say that there is a compound pharmacy here where I live, that she uses for her patients. And she literally explained everything to me, the cost down to the penny. And she said, okay. And so she gave me the options. Here's for the semaglutide, here's for the tirzepatide. I'm gonna be honest with you, just from stuff that I read, I saw a lot of people, and even people that I know personally, they have had more success on the tirzepatide or the like the more brand name that has the same ingredients, so like the Mounjaro or Zepbound. So she was honest. She was like, you know, the semaglutide is cheaper. She said, I like to start my patients on that if they're willing to, because when you think about cost, how likely is this person to continue with this treatment based on the cost alone? And so I sat there. I had already had a number in my mind of what I could budget for the online compound pharmacy, and the tirzepatide was in my budget. And so she kind of looked at me, and I didn't ask. I just asked, like, what I did ask was, which one do you notice has more success? And she kind of noticed my hesitancy about the semaglutide, and she said, I mean, if you want to start with the tirzepatide, you can. I will. And that's how we got there. I was able to go to the compound pharmacy after my appointment, and I was able to get my medicine like that day. What I love about it, and I can't compare it to the online compound pharmacies because obviously I've never used them, but what I loved about it is it's right here. And with me having sleep apnea and these other comorbidities, I kind of felt more comfortable going with my doctor. So my doctor is here and the pharmacy is here, and then they have open lines of communication, and they're here in case I need to, you get what I'm saying? So for me personally, it just was a perfect fit. So that's how we ended up here. I don't know if I'll have the same success that everybody else had, but I'll tell you what made me make this video. So I was not gonna make a video of me dumping out coffee and shopping at Aldi for healthier foods and then pop out in 8 weeks and I done lost 20 pounds. So I just had to be honest. And I had to be honest about why I decided to do it. Of course, like I said before, yes, I want to lose weight. The weight loss was not the only deciding factor. It is like almost 3 o'clock. I got my shot this morning at like 6:30. I will say this, based on what I've read in other people's experience, somebody told me not to expect nothing, like to feel any side effects the first day, and I be got dog. Like, yeah. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I haven't had any bad side effects, I'll say that. My doctor did like give me realistic expectations. She told me I need to consume at least 108 grams of protein a day. She told me if I needed something for nausea, what I could take over the counter. If that didn't work, then of course I need to reach out for a prescription. She told me what I needed to take if I had any GI issues. And my battery is about to die, so we're about to wrap this up. So yeah, that's where we are, and I am excited to start this journey. I'm excited more than the scale victory. I'm actually excited to have my labs redrawn in 8 weeks to see where we are. So I will definitely keep you guys posted. And if you are a GLP-1 girly, if you are on a GLP-1 medication, whether it's a regular medication or a compounded medication, drop down in the comments and tell me what's your experience. But more than anything, give me some tips and pointers. Like, I don't want to be caught off guard with any adverse side effects. I got my water, I got my electrolytes, I got my protein. I know how much protein I need to get for today. So let me know if it's anything I'm missing, if it's any particular time of the day that's better. Morning, I did a morning shot for my first shot. Like, give me some tips. I need to know. So until next time, bye.